Hey everybody, it's puck time for Monday. I'm Lawrence Presman, the Prez, and we're having sound issues today. For some reason, my headphones aren't working, and there's an echo in my ear, so please tough through us and let us know how the sound comes across for you guys. I'm Lawrence Presman, Alex B. Smith with us, and Andrew McGinnis. And let's start with you, Andrew. How was your weekend?
It was a good weekend, Prez, but as far as the actual picks go with my NBA right now, I have never been more frustrated. I'm getting the worst bad beats. It was a pretty good season throughout, but I definitely don't mind coming on here and saying that it's been a pretty bad run. I mean, there was around 203 points yesterday in the Raptors game with 2 minutes to go, and yet somehow I lose my under 227.5. Every single day right now, it just seems like it's a new way that I'm losing a total bet, whether it's college basketball or NBA. Things are still going pretty good long-term wise, but definitely a frustrating weekend as far as some of these bad beats go.
Yeah, and I mean, welcome to gambling, dude. You know, I went to play poker. I had a pair of aces. I lost to a 6 and 7. All you can do is try your best, be on the right side, and then let the puck fall where it does. How are you, Alex?
I'm feeling better. And my ribs are healing up just fine, but pretty rough. Now of 5 first-period overplays where teams that have been streaking minutes. It happened last with Columbus and Vancouver. It's just one of those times where you just have some bad runs. Hoops were doing well. The guy cashed that one easy, but then had a couple of bad beats. Like I said, when you're talking about especially with basketball, things fall by a point, half a point. That's just the way it rolls. But hoping to look for new hoops and March Madness in full swing. So I'm very excited.
Yeah, Alex, I heard nothing, but that's my fault. Guys, just let everybody know we're having audio issues. So I'm literally running this show through this earphone and my speakers. Everything is double echoing, so please bear with us. Hey, Broken Mechanic, what's up, Vikings? Zekin, Super, Tanner, Terry, let us know if the sound is okay, please. Real quick, let's get on to our promotion, and then we've got 5 games we're going to take apart today. A huge promotion for everybody, a big March Madness special. It's all about March Madness right now. The package is $199 for everybody's March Madness. That will be the price starting next Monday. But for you guys, you can get it for $149 today. Use the promo code at either Sports Memo or Wager Talk, PZMM50. It stands for Prez March Madness 50. PZMM50. You're getting $50 off of next week's price, which makes it this week for free. And just to highlight some runs, I'm on a 17-8 college basketball run. Gianni is on a 7-0 and 14-5 college basketball run. Dave Koken 4-0, 16-6 run. Drew Martin 4-0 and 8-2 CBB run, and Rob Vino 5-0 run and up 100% profit since January 1st. How's the sound, guys? Andrew and Alex, everything good?
Sounds great. Sounds great through the headset. I'm not sure how it sounds on YouTube because I haven't muted, but it seems to be going fine. So.
Yeah, Andrew's not looking like Clark Kent today, Jay. Clark wears glasses. That was Friday. Alex looks like super.
The irony of it is that's actually what I was. So
you were Superman for pretend. Halloween?
No, what did you say? Clark Kent.
Prez, what do they do to have to get over? Anthony, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm really having issues today, guys. The sound quality is a total mess on my end. Let's get to it, boys. Buffalo plus 150 hosting the Washington Capitals. The over and under is 6.5 in this game. And Washington, they beat Pittsburgh. Great win on the road, 5-2. But before that, they lost to the Rangers and they lost to Philadelphia. And while Buffalo hasn't won a game in this century, I lean on the over here, Andrew, and I'll go to you first, but I really don't have much of an opinion on this game.
Pretty much the second the Buffalo Sabres were playoff contention, they went all the way downhill. They've pretty much haven't been able to find the back of the net. They haven't been able to score. Just maybe a handful of players that were doing the bulk of the work for them. And that can only last so long. We saw this Edmonton Oilers team now getting some secondary scoring that's working for them. And certain teams, you have to realize you can't just have two guys doing the bulk of the scoring. And Washington, that's kind of what's really working for them right now, is that although Washington has, guys like Backstrom and Ovechkin, they're still finding some scoring down their whole lineup. That's what's, kind of been so successful for them. They scored 10 goals in their past 2 games. I'm comfortable laying the minus 150, honestly. I saw somebody in the group chat saying, let's lay some juice today. Find a way to, get a regulation line, get an in-game better number, whatever it is you have to do. But I think Washington wins this game. And I want to lean to the over as well, but the fact is Buffalo just isn't scoring. So, I feel like Buffalo comes to play, but there's no evidence that tells me they're going to just show up all of a sudden and score some goals.
Yeah, no, that's the problem. I had Philadelphia minus 1.5 on Saturday and the over in that game. And, you look at Buffalo, last few games, 1 goal, 2 goals, 1 goal, 2 goals, 2. 7 games in a row, they haven't scored more than 2 goals. One of our guests asked Washington minus 1.5. Look, I got no problem with that bet. I would be a little bit concerned because we're at the stage, and this is very important, we're at the stage of the season where Tampa Bay is playing Boston and they're rallying for position. The Islanders are playing Carolina. Columbus is playing, Carolina, and all of these teams, Minnesota versus Vegas, Calgary versus Edmonton, Vancouver versus Vegas. So many incredibly meaningful games. When they aren't meaningful, like Tampa Bay versus Detroit, be careful. You can only keep your emotions up for so long, and we saw it yesterday with Tampa Bay having an outstanding game against Boston 2 nights ago and then come back and lose to Detroit. Be careful playing really good teams against Buffalo, Anaheim, New Jersey, Detroit, Ottawa, etc., etc. Alex, what do you like in this play?
Make a very good point about how there's teams that are, looking to play the role of spoiler. I don't think that's the case here with Buffalo tonight. Buffalo's just been on an absolute skid right now, and I would look at playing Washington in regulation, get it right now at even money. May even look at taking Buffalo under 2.5 of the team total. You're getting that at plus 130 at a couple of shops, so that's something definitely worth looking at. The fact that they've been held to 2 or less in the last goals, I think this is the kind of game where Washington can hold pat and this one pretty easily.
He's Alex B. Smith, Andrew McGinnis with us. Both you can find at sportsmemo.com. Anthony M., are the Leafs going to make the playoffs? Yeah, they're going to back themselves into the playoffs simply because Florida just can't get their act together, although they had a great game against Montreal. But I think ultimately it could come down to the Leaf-Florida game that's coming up in a little while. Broken mechanic, that Boston game was so violent. I love that stuff. Yeah, Jay Live, I'm glad you can join us as well, my friend. Welcome and enjoy the show. Real quick, guys, make sure to take advantage of our March Madness special. Next week, we're dropping the March Madness price to $199. You guys could have it today for $149 all the way through to the end of the madness. To give you perspective, it's $40 just for a 5% play, and you can get every game in all of March in college basketball for only $149. Use the promo code PZMM50. And yes, the Hawks are dead. Winnipeg.
Yeah, I agree.
What, Alex?
I said I completely agree. Last night was a complete abomination about the Hawks, and they're pretty much done now.
The Hawks have been dead for a lot longer than last night. That's for sure.
Well, yeah, it's official now.
Okay, it's official. Winnipeg against Arizona. Real big game for both these teams. And here's a real great example of what's happening next for these two teams. You know, they're jockeying for a wild card spot. The emotion in this game is going to be intense. This is a playoff game. Look to fade both of these teams next game, which we'll talk about on other shows. Minus 125 for Winnipeg, over and under 5.5. And bottom line for me, Alex, and I'll go to you first. I like Winnipeg on the money line here. Even maybe sprinkle a little bit in regulation. I think this Winnipeg team is better than Arizona. They're at home. They're playing good hockey of late. And it's a must-win for both.
Yeah, they got to treat this like a playoff game, and you know, this is basically the start of their playoffs. The way they have to be looking at things, they've already beat Vegas 4-0. That was a huge win. Now you're taking on an Arizona team that has failed to deliver on the road. They've lost 11 of the 13 away from Glendale, and you got Jacob Chychrun, one of their better defensemen, out with a hip injury. This is a game where Winnipeg definitely has to take over and dominate in this contest. Like I said, you can get them at plus 120 in regulation, or you can lay $1.15, $1.20 on the money line. I think either one's a good play. I think Winnipeg wins this one easily.
For some reason, Alex, you're echoing like I cannot hear a thing you're saying, but I agree. Andrew, you're coming into my ear perfect. I don't know why. Anyway, Andrew, what's up with you? What do you like in this game?
It's probably because here in the East Coast, we have the worst phone plans ever in the world. So if we're going to pay the dollar for it, Arizona has struggled on the road completely. They've done so well in Glendale, better than, where they played anywhere else, but they're 2-11 their last 13 road games and 1-10 their last 11 in Winnipeg. And Winnipeg coming off that really strong win against Vegas, you have to. I'd say there's no other angle here besides Winnipeg. They're playing better hockey right now. Not only did they beat Vegas, they didn't even let them score a goal. They shut them out completely. And Arizona's only averaging about 2.8 goals per game in the last, let's say 2 or 3 weeks, it seems. So Winnipeg has to be the play at a pretty good price here. And honestly, if you want to get a little bit gutty, you can look at the puck line here at plus 210. Recently, how many games are actually being decided by one goal? I mean, looking at the value here, I think Winnipeg should be bigger favorites. This is obviously a big, like you guys said, got to treat it like a playoff game. Got to treat it like a big. If you're going to talk about value, plus 210.
Yeah.
On the puck line here, that's an opportunity.
Mr. SWAT, he types, and Prez, I know you aren't the biggest fan of parlays. I've at least one hit and been profitable the last 5 games in a row. Some games are good, but can't take a minus 130 play on its own. Mr. SWAT, firstly, congratulations. I could not be happier for you. I hope you win every parlay you ever make for the rest of your life. As for the concept of not being able to take a minus 130 play on your own, so if you bet $130 and win 100, offhand, that sounds like about a 80-something% return in a day. Please find me somebody who does an 80% return in a day. Minus 130 sounds like a totally reasonable bet to me. But thanks for watching, dude, and we love having you on. We need to have puck time with all participants at once. It's not a bad idea, Zekin. Maybe we'll do a playoff preview show and just load her up, bring on everybody for one show. But the problem ultimately is Skype and the computers. It just takes up so much bandwidth and memory to run these shows. Yeah. The sound quality might be a total disaster. But we'll give it a go. Andrew, St. Louis minus 160, over and under 6, hosting the Florida Panthers. Florida, as I spoke about, I mean, they lost 4 in a row, but they looked really good against Montreal. Not that that's hard to do. St. Louis, they lost to New Jersey, but bounced back. Tough game in Chicago. Rough as hell, fun to watch. But St. Louis is absolutely rolling. I'm not going to get in their way. This game's a pass for me. Andrew?
And 5 straight games at home for St. Louis. They've looked solid. You know, they've won 5 in a row to a larger scale, 9-2, I believe, at home. And, you know, this is a team that where Florida, look, yeah, like you said, I hate ripping my own team, but that strong win against Florida or against Montreal, where are those strong wins against Toronto, against Boston? Where are those strong wins against teams that they should have strong performances against? You know, I'm a big, short memory type guy when I'm handicapping, so maybe Florida will come into play here and maybe look towards the over because it seems to me that the only way they can play is if the only way they can win games is if they're scoring 4 or 5 goals. But, you know, St. Louis at home is tough to fade against here. The odds makers have it priced at 6, which is, you know, correct price, I'd say, a correct number. The only way I could look here is St. Louis, but I don't love this game because I don't want to lay minus 150 here with them. And Florida is in a way more desperate position than St. Louis.
Guillermo, thanks for the nice words, Mr. SWAT, as well. Thanks, guys. This stuff is so appreciated. Alex, what do you like in this play?
I like St. Louis here in regulation. That was a big win for them last night. They actually had quite a few fans in Chicago, too. If you were watching that game, you could actually hear some of the Blues chants at one point in time crowding over some of the Hawks chants, which is just flat out embarrassing from the Hawks fans to let that happen. But nonetheless, St. Louis is on a roll right now. It's Chris Driedger in net for Florida as Bobrovsky is still out with that lower body injury. You only land $1.05 here. I think St. Louis takes care of business at home.
Yeah, not that I understood one thing you said, but I'm just going to tough through it and get this working tomorrow. Yog Buddha, he wants a recap at the end of the show. And you know what, Yog? We're going to actually start doing that on a regular basis. I cannot do it today because I can't hear anything Alex says. So bear with us. And Rich, welcome, my brother. Before we get into the next game, Matt Carpenter, you know, you're totally right. Vegas makes all their money on parlays, and sharps make all their money on betting straights. And guys, I'm gonna, you know, this is a topic we're gonna talk about on a regular basis, and I respect that everybody does parlays. I mean, this is supposed to be fun as well. There's very, very few of us that are betting for a living. So do your parlays and enjoy it. But so you understand, a 3-team parlay at minus 110 pays 6-1. The actual odds are 8-1. Same with a 2-team parlay. A 2-team parlay is the worst parlay you could ever make. It pays 2.6-1. The true odds are 4-1. The best parlay you can make as far as getting as close to the true odds as possible is a 3-teamer. With that said, you're still short on the true odds, and ultimately it will bite you in the toches.
Prez, I was talking with someone earlier in the week about this. I know you're giving the solid advice, and that makes a lot of sense, but how would you feel if every single night you took your best bet, you bet that pick, and then you, along with that, you faded the Detroit Red Wings? You're going to gain around 30 to 40, 50 cents on that team you originally liked. because you're adding on the betting against.
Are you saying
Detroit
to put that
Red Wings.
into a parlay?
Yeah.
I'm saying if your best bet of the night tonight was St. Louis, and let's say Detroit was playing against Tampa, so you bet St. Louis and whoever was playing against Detroit just to bump those
I feel
odds.
terrible about that. Andrew.
But look at how many wins Detroit has.
Firstly, if you've just faded Detroit from the beginning of the year to now, you would be up a massive sum of money. So why be greedy? Like, just take what you can. This is a grind, guys. This is about making a small amount of money every day, every week, going through ups, going through downs, and at the end of the year, being up some money and enjoying the ride the entire time. Don't be greedy as a sports gambler. And I will say this, Andrew. Now is not the time to fade Detroit or Ottawa or Anaheim or the Kings. Look at what the Kings have done of late.
I agree with you.
Beating good teams. Anaheim beating good teams. Now is the time, as I said at the beginning of the show, where these bad teams are going to find spots to win because of the emotional intensity that these good teams are going to have playing against each other. Single bets are the way to go.
Anybody that bet Detroit against Tampa Bay or bet Tampa Bay against Detroit didn't watch the game before. There's no way that somebody that follows hockey would have bet Tampa Bay against Detroit after that game against Boston. There's no way.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm guessing a whole lot of people did.
I gave out Tampa Bay, by the way, on the show on Friday.
Okay, let's get to the Edmonton Oilers Vegas Knights game. Fun game last night in Calgary. Incredible comeback from Calgary, down 3-0. Tied it up late to 3-3. Vegas scored with a minute and change to go. And I've lost Andrew on my phone. Now guys, bear with me. I got to call Andrew back as I can't hear anybody unless they're in my ear. There he is.
You're still on the line with me.
Anyway, incredible game by Vegas last night. Now they're going to Edmonton, and this Edmonton team is just playing lights out. Won 4 of their last 5, beat Columbus 4-1 and looked really good doing it. And now we have them at home, minus 122. And I like Edmonton tonight, and I like over the total in this game. Alex, you're up first.
Yeah, this is a spot, like I said, I've been getting snake bit with some of these, but I really like this first period over with Edmonton and Vegas. I think this is a good spot where these are two teams that get off to fast starts, and the fact that Vegas played just last night in Calgary, had that big 5-3 win. I can see where they might start off maybe a little bit slow. Edmonton could, get the advantage of scoring first. But like I said, this is going to be a good back and forth battle. Both teams really needing the points here if they want to try and wrap up that top spot in the division. This is going to feel like a playoff. It's going to be a playoff atmosphere for sure. I'm not sure who I'd be looking at the side. Probably pass the side, but if I had to play anything, it would be the first period over and the lean with the full game over.
He's Alex B. Smith. You can find him at Sports Memo. Andrew is at Sports Memo as well. Andrew, what do you like in this game?
Yeah, there was someone that commented on our last video on Friday, Prez, asking for some more prop bets. I'll start going over more like goal scoring stuff and things like that, but I would look at Edmonton to score first and possibly Edmonton first period here, based off the fact, first of all, they're at home, but second of all, Vegas playing after that really, really tough game. I think they'll probably have a sluggish, slower start here. Edmonton waiting for them to come into town. And right now, Edmonton's actually been playing some pretty good defensive hockey. You go down the list right now. I know it's Columbus, but they only allowed 1 goal against them, 1 goal against Dallas, 2 goals against Winnipeg. If Edmonton can continue to do that, they won't need to have to score in bunches to beat these teams. And believe me when I say it, the secondary scoring has never been stronger for Edmonton right now. Although we're seeing McDavid still scoring, Draisaitl has been unbelievable. The fact that we've got some other guys on that stat sheet now putting their name on there, it's making this team a hell of a lot better. And I think that they'll get off to a way better start, and maybe Vegas will have another comeback and a third period performance. But to start things off, I've already bet it personally. Edmonton to score the first goal at -115. And I'm curious what you guys think about this. I don't want to get too off topic, but how much different would the respect level be for Leon Draisaitl if he wasn't on the Oilers with Connor McDavid? People are talking about that now.
So you guys,
is he under talked about?
So you guys are young, and I don't know if you remember Kevin Stevens. That's what Leon Draisaitl is. He's the Kevin Stevens of this era. Kevin Stevens played beside Mario Lemieux, put up like 140 points. Then he gets traded and never did it again. But he was still an outstanding player. Admin Arian, thanks so much for your kind words, man. I really appreciate it. And Carlo, if you don't want to see us, just listen. Like, read a book. You don't actually have to look at the screen. Plus, you'll miss the bicep pump. I've never shown my triceps, so there's the tricep pump for you guys. And look, a tattoo. See, Carlo, you'd miss all of this. Last game on the boards. Yari Curry, great point, Lance. Yep. I agree. That's probably as good an example as Kevin Stevens. Thanks, Paco. What's the tat of? It's a Jewish star with 6 sperm around it to represent my brethren from the 1940s in Germany, and then my children's name, Madison Tyler. Hey, Derek, welcome. I'm glad you're joining us, guys. Thanks for the nice words. Let's get into the last game. Before that, again, take advantage of the March Madness special. PZMM50, $149 for every single game. From any handicapper you want, that promo code is available at Sports Memo and Wager Talk. So head over and take advantage of it. LA Kings plus 115 against Colorado, who is minus 135. Over and under 5.5. Who's the hottest team in the league right now? LA Kings. LA Kings. 5 wins in a row, including beating good teams. Minnesota in the playoffs right now. Leafs in the playoffs. Vegas Golden Knights in the playoffs. They beat Pittsburgh. I don't want to get in the way of the Kings, but Colorado had a 2-game losing streak. Then they won last night. I think Colorado comes back and wins tonight. That's where I'm looking, Andrew.
I think this game goes over 5.5. I think Colorado wins the game, but hey, LA's playing pretty well. So the only way I'm going to look in this one is the over.
Yeah.
LA has been stringing every team into playing a faster style, and somehow they've been the one that's been coming out on top with those games. Toronto, that game, I think that was just a bad spot for them. That's went to a shootout. I feel bad at anybody that paid money to go to that game to see a 0-0 game go to a shootout. But the following game against that with Minnesota, 10 goals in that one, we're seeing more guys score for LA than we've seen all year to them. And Colorado, it's been such an up and down ride with them. Following this team with their injuries that they've had has been so interesting. We've seen a massive under streak. We saw a couple guys we never even heard of on the scoreboard. And then we're seeing a lot of pressure on a few key guys now, like Landeskog, McKinnon. I really do think at a 5.5 total, even though Colorado trended for so long under, we got to keep riding LA going over here, or LA scoring, and think that Colorado will ride with them. The strategy that I would say, and maybe not as much for this game, but what Prez is saying is so true. Don't bet on, don't go crazy betting these massive underdogs or teams people don't care about against good teams. However, look to fade those teams after a big upset. So Detroit, they upset Tampa Bay. I bet you they'll get absolutely crapped on their next game.
I agree.
The consistency level won't be there with them, right. But every now and then they're going to be there to just kind of remind everybody that they're still playing hockey.
I agree 100%. Alex, before we get to you, Andrew M. writes, Prez, you should do stand-up comedy in Toronto. I did. I did Yuck Yucks in Toronto, and then
No, you didn't.
I swear to God.
Really?
And then I actually did a comedy segment for 2 years on XM Radio Laugh Attack. My first ever stand-up comedy routine. I was about 22 years old. I got on stage, amateur night at Yuck Yucks. I'm going to tell you my opening line joke. Andrew and Alex, can you see me?
Yep.
We're off if she does this. It's out first, then down. That was my opening joke.
Wow.
Alex, what do you like in this game?
Wow.
I'm watching you right now.
I'm like I said, the Kings are rolling hot right now. They've won 5 in a row. It's a Colorado team that's completely banged up with injuries. The latest being Andre Burakovsky, who's out with a lower body injury. The only thing I would be looking at here, actually, the team total over 2.5 of the LA Kings. You can get that at even money, no higher than $1.10. We've been seeing, like I said, a huge outburst of 7 goals against Minnesota, but we saw them get 4 goals against Vegas. Michael Hutchinson in the net for Colorado. We know how poorly he's played all year for the most part. Had a couple of good games now at Colorado, but the only way I would be looking here would be LA and their team total over.
Yeah, that joke wasn't very good. I mean, there's a reason I don't do stand-up. Andrew, honestly, you're just like shaking your head.
It was the action that I liked the best. It wasn't even the joke. It was the action. You seemed very, very into it.
Zeke, and I will tell you my second joke that I ever did at Yuck Yucks tomorrow. You're right. We will start the show with one of my idiotic jokes that will just make everyone shake their head. Guys, thank you so much for joining us today. It's such a pleasure to do this. I really struggled with this show, so my apologies. We just couldn't get the sound right. I've been using the phone to make it work, and I have a terrible echo. Superman, what did you think of my joke, dude? Anyway, big night tonight. I got 2 NHL bets up at wagertalk.com. Andrew, what's on tap for you?
Yeah, I got one NHL promo package up and one NBA best bet for $9 Monday.
Yeah, $9. I forgot to mention that with all the stuff going on. Alex, what's up with you?
I've got 2 plays that are available for long-term clients in college hoops tonight. Excellent.
Abel, way to go on your round-robin bets. Great stuff, man. Everybody, thanks so much. We'll see you all tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern. Make sure to take advantage of our promo code. Thanks, everybody. We really appreciate it. And I just love doing these shows live. Later, boys.